Good evening, and welcome to the April 21st meeting of the Mayor of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Flossmoor. Just a couple of reminders before we get started tonight. This meeting is being streamed via Zoom for the convenience of those who cannot make it in person. Also, when it's time for public comment, I'm going to call folks from the public comment sign-up sheet. And if you would come up to the podium and state your name, your address, also act with decorum, address your comments to the public body at large, and not a single member of staff, and then also keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, please. That would be appreciated. The time is 7:06. Clerk Logallo, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott. Trustee Daggett. Here. Trustee Driscoll. Here. Trustee Lofton. Here. Trustee Mitros. Here. Trustee Mustafa. Here. Mayor Nelson.
Present. Thank you so much. We have a quorum. First up tonight is the new resident proclamation, and I'm going to welcome Chris and Nicole Brown, who are brand new residents of the village. Chris and Nicole moved in at the end of March, a block away. We're so thrilled to have you here. They moved from a nearby suburb, and when I asked them why they moved here, they said they wanted to be in a community that had more of a sense of belonging. And we're just thrilled that you're here. And you jumped in with both feet, and thank you for representing new residents at this event, this meeting. On Thursday night, there's a new resident event that the Community Relations Commission has been busy helping staff prepare. We're really excited about that. That's from 5:30 to 7:30 Conservatory. It's a celebration of Flossmoor. It's a great way to learn about how to get involved, our local businesses, and then also other organizations that you can help with.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and read this. Whereas our community's success depends on making sure that all Flossmoor residents feel welcome, and whereas new Flossmoor residents are a vital part of our community, bringing fresh perspectives and new ideas, starting businesses and contributing to the vibrant diversity that we all value. And whereas we honor the spirit of unity that is bringing neighbors together and making our community the kind of place where diverse people from around the world feel valued and want to put down roots. And whereas by recognizing the contributions that we all make to create a vibrant culture and a growing economy, we make our community more prosperous and more inclusive to all who call it home. And whereas fostering a welcoming environment for all individuals, regardless of race, ethnicity, or place of origin, enhances the Village of Flossmoor's cultural fabric, economic strength, global competitiveness, and overall prosperity for current and future generations. And whereas the Village of Flossmoor is committed to continually building a welcoming and neighborly atmosphere in our community, where all are welcome and accepted. And whereas the Village of Flossmoor encourages the business community, civic groups, and other government agencies and community institutions to undertake their own initiatives beyond this proclamation to make Flossmoor a welcoming place to all. And now, therefore, I, Michelle I. Nelson, Mayor of Flossmoor, do proclaim April 24th, 2025 as New Resident Day. Thank you so much for listening. And this is the consent considered with flowers locally from Blooms on Brassy. Honorary resolutions, one for Trustee Bradley Scott and one for Trustee Driscoll. These two folks have served the village in this capacity since 2017, and it's admirable. Thank you so much. These folks have been an incredible asset, and also they have incredibly busy and demanding family lives as well. So juggling this with careers and family lives, it's no joke, and it's something that both have taken high level of responsibility and dedication to the village. So I really appreciate all that you've done and look forward to the work that you'll be doing ahead. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this. Whereas Joni Bradley Scott was elected clerk in 2017 office in April of 2021. And whereas Joni Bradley Scott served her community faithfully during her term of office. And whereas Joni Bradley Scott's experience in communications and real estate has provided valuable input on village programs and services and the way in which we communicate to our constituents. And whereas Joni Bradley Scott brought bold ideas to the village board and encouraged others to think about policies, practices, and programs with the goal of continuous improvement. Whereas Joni Bradley Scott has passionately led the village to be more inclusive and equitable in its policies and operations, fostering a welcoming and connected community. And whereas Joni Bradley Scott has given her free time to the greater community as a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and with her work with the Monarch Cities chapter of Jack and Jill. And whereas her dedication to Flossmoor will continue through the Board of Trustees' ongoing efforts. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Flossmoor that on behalf of the village administration and all residents of this community, we do hereby express to Joni Bradley Scott our sincere appreciation for the contribution she has made to the community through her service on the Board of Trustees. And be it further resolved that we do hereby extend to Joni Bradley Scott and her family best wishes for success, health, and happiness in the future. Past this 21st day of April 2025. Thank you so much for your time. Next, I have a resolution honoring trustee Brian Driscoll. His wife, Nanette, is here to join him. During Brian's time on the board, it's not a secret, Nanette battled cancer, and she won. And having to do all you did while caring for Nanette is quite a journey, but you guys did it together, and it was great, and just thank you for all your service. So we're going to go ahead and read this. Whereas Brian Driscoll was elected to the office of the village trustee in April of 2017 and was re-elected in 2021, and whereas Brian Driscoll served his community faithfully during his term of office, and whereas Brian Driscoll's experience in law and government navigating complex issues brought an invaluable perspective to the village board. Whereas Brian Driscoll brought bold ideas to the village board and encouraged others to think about policies, practices, and programs with the goal of continuous improvement. And whereas Brian Driscoll advocated for programs that increased home values, including supporting public safety resources while maintaining the village's solvent financial position. And whereas Brian Driscoll has given his free time to the greater community as a volunteer for PATHS and continues to serve the community with the Marion Council of the Knights of Columbus and the Flossmoor Veterans Memorial Committee. And whereas his dedication to Flossmoor will continue through the Board of Trustees' ongoing efforts. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Flossmoor that on behalf of the village administration and all residents of this community, that we do hereby express to Brian Driscoll our sincere appreciation for the contribution he has made to the community through his service on the Board of Trustees. And be it further resolved that we do hereby extend to his family best wishes for success, health, and happiness in the future. Past this 21st day of April 2020. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the citizens and neighbors of Flossmoor who gave me their trust for 8 years. I want to personally thank all the department heads, their assistants, and their staff. You know, you have to be on the inside. You guys can hear me. But it's been an honor to get to know each one of you and how each one of you individually with your staffs have improved the village through your work. It's not going unnoticed, and I'm sure the new board members when they get on there will see that we've really got a great staff here, and you continue to do the most with limited resources and save money constantly for those of Flossmoor. So thank you all for that. It's been an honor. We kept the faith. I think we turned the village the last 8 years over some rough times during COVID, and we can't do it well. It's about the board. I want to especially thank the village manager, Richard Lockel, and her staff. Done a fantastic job through some trying times. Our village attorney, Kathy Orr, Clerk Cavallo, without you, especially Mayor Nelson. Thank you, Mayor Nelson. Good night. I get tongue-tied once in a while. Everybody gets a little nervous. The one person I want to thank the most is my wife in the back. Countless interruptions of phone calls, political meetings, discussions over the last 8 years. So a big thanks goes to her.
Way to save the day there, trustee. Next up, I've got citizens present wishing to address the board. And first on the list, I have Troy Holmes. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you to the Mayor and Board of Trustees for this opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to begin by advocating for the proposed ordinance that would establish filming regulations here in Flossmoor. As someone who works behind the scenes in the film industry, I can personally attest to the importance of clear and thoughtful guidelines. These regulations not only protect our residents and local businesses, but they also send a message that Flossmoor is open and ready to welcome film projects in our community. I'll let another resident expand more on that topic. Tonight, my main purpose right now is to honor 2 trustees who were recognized with resolutions for their service to our village. Trustee Bradley Scott, thank you for your years of dedicated service. Your decision to run for mayor in the recent election showed tremendous courage and leadership. I had the privilege of witnessing your deep connection with residents and your commitment to listening to every voice in our diverse community. And yes, I'm still counting. It's been 427 days since you and Trustee Mustafa requested that the Public Art Commission make its processes transparent and inclusive. You did that because you listened to the residents who felt unheard, and I did too. Your advocacy on that front has not gone unnoticed, and I promise to continue pushing for that change even after your time on this board has come to a close. Trustee Brian Driscoll, thank you as well for your years of thoughtful, steady service to Flossmoor. I've always admired your practical, common sense approach to the challenges our village faces. Your tireless involvement in community organizations has made a real impact and should serve as a model for others in public service. As I told you and the 5 other candidates running for trustee, I didn't run against you. I ran with you. On the campaign trail, I had a front row seat to your unwavering advocacy for infrastructure improvements, economic growth, and keeping taxes in check. You should be proud of the campaign you ran. It was built on integrity and a clear commitment to Flossmoor. The personal phone call you made to me after the election meant a great deal. What you said truly stayed with me, that you were proud to be my neighbor. Same to you, Brian, same to you. To Mayor Nelson, Trustee Gary Daggett, and Clerk Legalbo, congratulations on your campaigns. I believe Flossmoor will continue to move forward under your leadership. Trustees Bradley, Scott, and Driscoll, your seats will soon be filled by Carolyn Rogers and Kevin Dorsey. These two individuals bring experience, insight, and the heart needed to lead. Your years of service has laid a solid foundation for them to build upon. To the rest of the board, and mostly to the people of Flossmoor, I ask that you give this new board a real chance. Let's move forward together, not backward. I've seen and heard rhetoric since the election that doesn't serve our community. It's time to give this board an opportunity to find its rhythm, to work collaboratively and lead with unity. Please give them a chance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, I have Padre Holmes. Welcome.
The Holmeses are taking the podium. Good evening, Mayor Nelson, Flossmoor Board of Trustees, and of course our village clerk. And a very special thank you to both Trustee Joni Scott and Trustee Brian Driscoll for your service to the Flossmoor community. This evening you'll be considering an ordinance to formally open up Flossmoor to film production. I'm honored to have been part of the vetting process along with some other Flossmoor residents that are in various sectors of the film industry. I'm a Ballantrae Flossmoor resident, and I've worked in the film industry for the last 22 years, and for 12 of those years, my husband, Troy, and I have owned the largest minority and gay-owned commercial production company in the state of Illinois. So, as noted at Governor Pritzker's press conference last week, the film industry in 2024 accounted for over $653 million in collective revenue for the state of Illinois. This is the second highest record of revenue reported by the state, and that number continues to grow as the industry continues to bounce back from strikes that were felt nationwide. At the last Flossmoor Village Board meeting, Trustee Lofton noted the need for an economic development commission. Counting the film industry could and should be one of the pillars of economic development as we look at the future of Flossmoor. When a film production company comes into town, not only do we purchase film permits, but the impact financially on a community is significant. We pay for parking spaces, catering, craft services, D's cookies if you're me, and more D's cookies and more D's cookies. They've literally gone on a road show with me as I've traveled around the country filming. Hotels for overnight stays if needed, food for the crews from local grocery stores, props may get purchased from local businesses, and perhaps in a last minute pinch, a wardrobe stylist may be running to Meyer or Gypsy Fix because a client or someone doesn't like the wardrobe and wants a pop of color. So in addition, many municipalities have local payroll taxes that come from the wages of the crews working in their municipality. We subsidize police and fire department costs if needed for road closures, traffic rerouting, or perhaps the use of a village-owned vacant lot that we could use as base camps for trucks or cars to not overwhelm neighbors during the time that we're filming at a specific home, on a street, or a business. So the possibilities are unlimited on ways that we can create revenue for the village. Historically, we, the Chicago film industry, have relied on flexible villages like Oak Park, River Forest, Elmhurst, Evanston to carry on the suburban load for what we consider aspirational homes with beautiful, mature, tree-lined streets. Well, there's nothing in these communities that are as beautiful as what Flossmoor has to offer. We have unique architecture to be celebrated, our quaint all-American downtown, golf course options, and plenty of green space. So the versatility of looks is undeniably available here. Although the application is available and that is great as a first step, I'd like to see Flossmoor share with the industry at large that we are open for film business. We want to publicize in local film trade publications, film not-for-profits, and with lobbyist organizations like the Illinois Production Alliance, the Association of Independent Commercial Producers, the newly formed Flossmoor Art Council, Illinois Film Office, alongside our Local 600 Camera Labor Union, our IATSE Local 476, and the Directors Guild of America. Since I sit on many of these boards, it would be very easy to facilitate an informational roadshow to better inform the Mayor and the Board of Trustees. It might be more effective working alongside the Southland COGS to ensure all layers of local government understand the process and impact. We also have the luxury of having the head Chicago Fire location manager, Mono Wilborn, who is also a resident of Ballantrae here in Flossmoor as a resident. On behalf of the film industry, we thank you for your willingness to support art, union labor, and great initiatives for women and minorities that are tied to our amazing Illinois film tax incentives to increase business in the state. Illinois is unapologetically committed to making sure that women and minorities are represented in the film industry. They do not create excuses for why they cannot have diverse crews and businesses. They incentivize it by being an example of the change that they want to see. It should be a model for any government entity. If we build it correctly here in Flossmoor, understanding the needs of producers and location managers for film, they will come. We want to create an ordinance that lives beyond one administration, but is a roadmap for positive storytelling experiences in Flossmoor for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, I have Mother Diva. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Nelson and Board and all elected officials. I am here today to express my concerns and to spread awareness about the unofficial election results. Among the many hats I wear, I am an election campaign strategist and have served as an election judge for the past 6 years. I have been active in politics for the past 23 years, so I am well aware of election mishaps and outright fraud that has been discovered in Cook County, also known as Crook County. In previous elections, there were over 10,000 mail-in ballots that were unaccounted for and had to be recounted and created a lot of chaos. Now, I have been monitoring important dates according to the State Board of Elections. On April 3rd, the uncounted ballot report was supposed to be posted on the Cook County website. I could not find it. On April 8th, it was the last date for provisional voters to submit documentation. April 15th was the last day provisional ballot and vote by mail counted. And tomorrow, allegedly, April 22nd, the election will be officially certified. I'm putting everyone on notice that I am doing a full investigation to ensure that every vote has been counted. The election results have not been updated since April 3rd. This was a very close race between Mayor Nelson and Trustee Scott, and also candidate Troy Holmes. A recount may be needed. Candidates spend thousands of dollars running for office, so all candidates should desire a thorough count of each ballot cast. Cook County even offers a watch count as well. Voters and candidates, you have 5 days to apply for a recount according to the Discovery Recount Law, Statute 10 ILCS 5/22-9.1. Once all of the votes have been counted and a possible recount, if Mayor Michelle Nelson has won fair and square, I am not a sore loser. I will be more than happy to accept her as Flossmoor Village re-elected mayor. However, if we are just going to accept unofficial election results then what is the point of early voting and mail-in ballots? The bottom line, every vote must be counted. If anyone needs more info on this process, you can see me after the meeting, and thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mother Diva. Next up, I'm going to open up a public hearing on the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. The time is 7:30. Are there any public comments on the budget? Are you kidding? All right, thank you so much. That's never happened before. The time is 7:31. I am now closing the public hearing on the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Next up, can I get a motion to approve the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. This is the fourth meeting where the budget has been on our agenda. We previously got the initial draft budget came out on March 3rd, and we had 3 meetings where we discussed the budget. And so tonight is just kind of a cleanup and answering any additional questions that any village trustees have not had a chance to ask previously. First up, I will call Trustee Bradley Scott. Any questions or comments?
No questions or comments.
Thank you. Trustee Mustafa, any questions or comments?
I have a few. Some are small and a couple are big. I'll just start with the small ones. Good evening, and thank you again to Trustee Driscoll and Trustee Bradley Scott for your service. Your time on the board is much appreciated, and the residents have benefited from it. Thank you. First of all, if everyone would just turn to page 009. I was trying to do it page by page. This is in the section legislative contractual services. Just a question for clarification. I noticed under professional services and board contingency fund that we budgeted in 24-25 and there's no actual expenditure, and we budgeted again for this current. You could explain it, I'm sure.
As you summarize it, that is correct. These are accounts that the village has budgeted for professional services that may run under the legislative division or the board division. Examples of expenses that would come out of this account would be a consultant who advises the board or facilitates a strategic planning process, for example. Board contingency fund is just as it is described. It is $5,000 that's set aside as contingency for a special project of the board. And you can see in previous years, there are times when those monies are in fact expended.
I do notice, because it doesn't really go back that far, I do notice that, 22-23, we spent $8,425 for work contingency. Can you just give an example of what those types of projects could be?
I believe I have to go back and take a deeper look at, we're talking 2 fiscal years ago, but we believe that is the funds expended for our facilitator for the community town hall meeting that we held that particular year.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. The next question I have is in that same section on the Flossmoor Fest. And it's kind of a combined question. In 22-23, we spent almost $71,000. In 23-24, we spent $82,000. And in 24-25, we did not have the fest, but we spent $85,000 for Cakes and Eggs, Oktoberfest, and the Centennial. So I understand why that new budgeted figure would be lower because we're not, of course, going to have the Centennial celebrations again. But I'm wondering, were there any surveys done of residents or businesses to know that we wanted to repeat Cakes and Eggs in Oktoberfest?
We did not conduct a survey on either of those. One of the reasons that we were doing Oktoberfest, or planning to do that a second time, was because of the downtown construction. So we thought that the event space in the area for the successful first year was something we could try to get the second year.
Do you know, thank you, Jonathan, do you know if the businesses were pulled at all?
We did not pull them on for the second year.
Okay. And there's a secondary reason I'm asking. I understand regarding the construction, why you would not want to have a conflict with the downtown area, but anecdotally, the businesses reported that they did not benefit as much from those types of festivals. And I was wondering if there was a way to engage the businesses so that they had more benefit.
So we do have some Kegs and Eggs figures from some of our businesses and restaurants that we talked to that did exceptionally well during that time period. So we did hear positive things about the amount of money that was brought in on that just that morning and how that could be expanded in the second year. And in some ways, some of our businesses and restaurants that we talked to after would be more money that on that one because they were able to plan for it. So that's something we work and organize with our business and restaurants again for the second year of Kegs and Eggs. As far as Oktoberfest, we would offer the same thing to our restaurants and businesses, work with them again. We had some successes the first year, and I think they understand more what it is, so we would obviously work with them again.
That sounds good. And since you're continuing to look into that, I think any business that might have had less than favorable experience would hear from you and then you get that input for the next time.
Yeah, we bring in the RFBA meetings as well, which we have representation from both our communications and community engagement manager at those events as well. Anytime the FBA meets. So these are things we'll strategize with the businesses and restaurants.
Trustee Mustafa, what did you say was spent on Kegs and Eggs and Oktoberfest?
No, it's Cakes and Eggs, Oktoberfest, and the Centennial celebration. It was a total of $84,677.
I didn't hear the Centennial, and there were, I can't remember how much we got in donations that offset quite a bit of that.
Oh, no, I'm not speaking of that. I'm just looking at the budget, the expense line, the actual. It's $39,000 for the Centennial, $39,797 for Oktoberfest, and $5,880 for Cakes and Eggs.
Correct, and I'm just letting folks know that there was, Stephanie, right? Do you have that figure, how much was donated towards the Centennial?
It was about $45,000, and all three of those events added up to that amount. So
Which amount? Sorry.
To Trustee Mustafa's $85,000.
$84,677.
So you had three major events, which were three opportunities for the businesses versus having one event, which is one day. So I feel like it was a better use of our funds.
Thank you for that. I'm only counting what the businesses related, so thank you. The other comment is that since you're bringing up donations in kind or sponsorship, that's normal for the festivals. Flossmoor Fest, we had donations too.
Yeah, but it's never been that much. That was at a normally high.
Okay, so that's a good thing. All right, my next question is about retail coach. That's on 010. It's account number 01417-714 on page 010. So when I had brought up retail coach perhaps 2 times before, if I remember correctly, village manager, you said that we would be talking about that renewal of their contract at at the time we looked at the budget again. So where do we stand with renewing since it's in the budget for 25, 26?
I had said that the contract would come before the board at an upcoming meeting. The contract runs concurrently with the fiscal year. So it is budgeted for, but the contract is yet to be before the board.
Okay, so at that time we would approve it.
When a contract is presented to the board, it would be for your consideration for approval.
Will we have the opportunity to hear any return on investment, outcomes, benefits from retail at that time?
Certainly.
Okay, that would be real good. Thank you. All right. Okay, so the next one is in the streets and grounds section, which is 049. Under contractual services. So just a question for information. You'll notice under 01-64-4-653, we have budgeted in 24-25 and budgeted in 25-26, $100,000 for removals, $5,500 for parkway tree inventory and parkway tree trimming. But we didn't use any of that money in 24-25. Could you just shed a little light on why we budgeted again and why we didn't use it?
With all due respect, I believe that you're misreading the line. So the numbers roll up into that $215,000 that was expended in 25. And then we break it down from a budgeting perspective for the future fiscal year. So monies were expended quite a bit, in fact, because of the tornado last summer in fiscal year 25.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I am misreading, but we don't have how much was spent in each of those categories, as well as wondering.
That is correct. It is one contract that we manage.
For those three removals and tree inventory and tree trimming? Okay, so we're not able to break it down.
John, would you like to comment?
Yeah, we could break that down. We don't have a 13 past in the budget document as you've seen in previous years. It's all one some number we show. If you like that information, I can provide it to you. It'd be easy to do, so.
No, I'm fine. As long as from our contractor that you're comfortable when you get the bill and everything, that's what counts.
Yeah, we review every bill and every year of the contract that we're going good with it. We had a lot of expenses last year due to the tornadoes, so. And we're getting reimbursement potentially to apply for it as well, so.
Thank you. On 049 also, no, I don't have it. Oh. On 050, under contractual services, we're no longer budgeting for code enforcement mowing services under
It's under inspectional services now. It's not in the streets and grounds anymore.
It's
been moved over.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is somewhat out of order. I just wanted to ask about the grants that are frozen, the ones that are being, that affect the Flossmoor Viaduct project and also the Western Avenue project. So phase 4 and 5 of the Flossmoor Viaduct project has $1,241,666 budgeted. And then there are 3 grants pending, the MWRG, the HGMP, and the VRIC, but the VRIC is frozen. And I was wondering, what's the amount of that frozen grant?
Well, actually, the brick was not awarded, so it was grant, that program that was frozen, we never were awarded that grant, so it's not in the budget document as a potential.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply that. I know it's not here, but I just wanted.
Trustee Mustafa, could we stick to the budget questions just to keep things going, since that's the item that we're supposed to be discussing right now? And then if we have questions about any grants that are frozen or unfrozen, we could talk about that during other business, or we could discuss that with staff.
Well, what I'm asking is there any impact to, because we budgeted already $1,200,000, is there impact to that project as budgeted?
There is no current impact to the Flossmoor Road Viaduct project with respect to federally frozen grants. We, as I explained at the last meeting, the village has been named in Congresswoman Kelly's list of projects for fiscal year 25. This is at the federal level, fiscal year 25, section 219 monies. But we have yet to be awarded those monies. No dollar amounts have been shared across the communities to which she would share those monies. So that is just out there. In fact, she and some other federal Congress people are advocating for those projects again in the fiscal year. So we'll see what happens there. The only project for which we have expended monies and have been waiting for a reimbursement is for $15,000 for the drone for the fire department. That's a USD grant that was awarded last year. It's a reimbursable grant, so the village has to upfront those monies. We had made our application back in February for reimbursement through Cook County, and we're just recently notified that those monies were frozen. We removed them from the fiscal year 25 budget, knowing that we would be receiving them in the next 30 days. We have reallocated them into fiscal year 26 in hopes that those monies will come unfrozen.
Thank you. So there's one question I had, I don't know where to look in the budget regarding the Irma premium. Am I correct that there's two parts to that premium, a revenue base and possibly an experience modifier?
That is correct.
Do we have an increase in the Irma premium due to the suit that was filed by former Chief Driscoll Jones?
We have an increase in our premium due to the total experience modifier that suit included, but other sorts of claims against the village and workers' comp and so forth. And that information was presented to the board back on March 3rd as part of the preliminary budget discussion.
Okay, I don't remember what the amount was, and can you remind me what the increase in the Irma premium is? And where it is in the budget?
Well, it's spread out across all
All
of
the
the
Irma?
village department, or all of the operating departments. Our total Irma premium for fiscal year 26 is $306,000. And you happen to recall what that increase was from 25?
I believe in 25 we had a budget amendment, and it was actually, it was on the Q3 budget amendment, and in 25 the actual dollar amount I believe was $336. If you turn to page 150 in the budget, you'll see the allocation per department.
Okay. So did I just hear you say a 306,000? It sounds like it went down, if it's worth 336.
So how we come up with the dollar amount for the budget is we look at a 3-year period and do an analysis, and that's how we come up with the budgeted number. We don't then get like the actual bill from Irma in December.
Okay, so does it sound like it's going down? No?
Over a 3-year span.
Okay, all right, thank you. So my last question is a longer, more complicated question related to the across-the-board salary increases. In our budget, we have proposed in across-the-board 3.75 for all positions for cost of living. And you had asked the board to provide input on whether or not, or how do we support it, or any comments. Since you had also informed us that there would be a compensation analysis, my question is, have you any updates to the board for when that analysis would occur?
Based on board feedback, there is not there seems to be some interest amongst the board to talk about that at a later date, but not at this time. So we do not propose the study within the budget at this time. Should the board wish to pursue that in the middle of fiscal year 26, we certainly can do so with the budget amendment.
Okay, so I misunderstood reading the question you had to the board. I inferred that you were moving ahead, looking at contractors and looking at how to actually start that, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
That's correct. I provided the board some preliminary information on what a study would look like, potential costs of the study, but no, not without direction from the board are we going to move forward with that.
Okay, so can we finalize that direction at the next meeting with a discussion? Can it be on the agenda for the next meeting?
I don't have enough board support to have it on the agenda at the next meeting, but we can talk about it in the future.
Can one board member request an agenda item for the next meeting?
No.
I wasn't aware that you needed a quorum for that.
Joni?
The general rule of thumb is you need at least 3 trustees to request an agenda item. And that's based on the fact that, that you need 3 trustees to call a special meeting.
Oh, no, I'm not asking for a special meeting.
I know that. This law says you need 3 trustees to call a special meeting, which means an agenda. So it has been interpreted that that would be required for any agenda item. Mayor is the CEO, she's in charge of the agenda, and unless 3 trustees direct her to put something on the agenda, it's definitely her call.
So that's clear. We need 3 trustees to ask for us to add compensation analysis to the agenda, and then we could have a discussion, and from that point forward decide how we would like to move forward with that. Do I understand correctly?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Mitros.
No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Lofton.
After 4 meetings, I think we've got questions.
Thank you. Trustee Driscoll.
Exactly what trustee Lofton said. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daggett.
No questions, but comment. I am annually, every time we go through this, I am thoroughly impressed with the amount of detail that goes into this, because I know this isn't even all paperwork. We have everything to be like mountains. So just thank you to all of the directors, everybody in finance who has been working. I think you guys get like 2 days off before you have to start working on it again. And to the village manager, a lot of work goes into this, and I appreciate not only the detail that goes into it, but the accessibility that you guys offer so that we can come and ask you questions, which, as Ann knows, I always do. So thank you so much for the hard work. I appreciate it, and I know there will be changes and movements throughout the year on this, but we're in a good spot, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Clerk Lavelle, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Musafa.
I will express my vote in after one comment. I was not aware that it required 3 trustees to place on the agenda a discussion about the compensation analysis. It would be my preference to analyze compensation for the entire village before making a decision regarding salaries, because in fairness, as an agent of the village, fiduciary responsibility is that we're sure we're actually increasing salaries at the appropriate level. The cost of living may be adequate, it may not. And so I vote yes to the budget, but I will work actively to assure that this goes on the agenda. Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Next, I have the consent agenda. Before I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda, I'm going to pull off item number 9, consideration of a contract extension with Home Cleaning Centers of America for the fiscal year 26 janitorial services. Because there is a waiver of the bid process, that is not allowed to be on consent, so we pull off. So can I have a motion to approve consent items number 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. It's been moved and seconded. Anybody have anything that they would like to have pulled up? Seeing none, clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to consider the contract extension with Home Cleaning Centers of America for the fiscal year 26 janitorial services?
So moved.
Thank you. Village Manager Martel, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add. This is something that we've seen several years in a row. We're very happy with their work since 2016, 2014. Since 2014, definitely, I think the place looks good. Anything you want to add?
No, I'll just comment that the village has had a history of, had an inadequate service from low bidders on this particular contract. We've had a solid relationship with this particular vendor since 2014. They have held our prices, they've been responsive to services, especially during the pandemic. This is a contract manager for Public Works. Dan is at the podium here. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I believe you hit all the points. We've been working with them since 2014, and they've held a unit price since then, which is not what we've seen with all of our other contracts. It's
A long time to hold price. I'll start with comments from the board. Let's see, Trustee Day.
Everybody's happy with their service?
Yes.
No question.
Trustee Driscoll.
No questions or comments.
Trustee Lofton.
No questions or comments.
Trustee Mitros.
No questions.
Trustee Mustafa. Trustee Bradley Scott.
No questions.
Thank you so much. Clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll on consent agenda item number 9, which is pulled out of the consent agenda?
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. We don't have any formal reports of any of our commissions, but I do want to make a couple of shout outs. I want to congratulate the Green Commission for a ComEd grant that they won for 25 new parkway trees. Looking forward to helping fund those coming up soon. Also want to shout out to the Community Relations Commission for the new resident event that is this Thursday. Thank you for all your work. Philippa is doing a dance in her seat. Next, I want to also give a shout out to the Art Commission. The Flossmoor sweatshirt sales have started online. Go to flossmoor.org if you would like to buy any Flossmoor gear. All sales from that gear benefit our Public Art Commission. So thank you to everybody who's working hard on all of those projects, staff included. Next up, I'm going to, we have action item number 14, which is approval of executive session minutes, but I'm going to put that out of order. I'm going to put that at the bottom because we're going to need to go into executive session to discuss that. So instead, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve an ordinance establishing regulations for filming on public property in Flossmoor.
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. And we have Assistant Village Manager Jonathan Vogt here presenting. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. So you heard a couple of public comments to start tonight's conversation about this consideration for this ordinance. I wanted to just talk a little bit about how this process started and where we're at today, and maybe one small change I'd like to make that was submitted to you already. So the first thing that I want to say is, the village gets about 3 to 4 regular requests for small productions or different filmings throughout in our village. Those requests we try to deal with on a case-by-case basis, but we have no regulations or things in place, so we can kind of, maybe just a little bit on it, but we don't have a frequency that happens. Because of this, I had a resident about a year and a half ago make a complaint about how they were disturbed during the film. So from that basis, I said, okay, let me look what I've done previously in my two previous jobs where I helped with this process, was the Village of Lincolnwood and the City of Highland Park, and looked at their film processes first. From there, I met Quadri Holmes and through different village events. He said he'd be interested in seeing what I was working on. So I sent it over to him, and then he sent it over to a big, large group of people to look at it as well. So through that process, I got some really good feedback. And some of that feedback that we started with was not only like, is that exactly what I thought I would find through the process? So, hey, maybe, if we do have a filming crew here, you should look at your insurance premiums, and they should be higher for bigger processes. Or, hey, this is some of the things that we struggle with, like the timing period of production. So, for example, the City of Highland Park, where I was looking at modeling from, has a 21-day period for when they have their permit. Oak Park has a 15-day period. In our ordinance or regulation that we're putting forth today has a 14-day period with an option of expediting if we are able to with between 5 and 13 days. And one of the things that I have to say about that is the balance between this is we do have staffing restrictions. We are a smaller village, so if we're closing a road, if we're doing different things, we're thinking about what's inconveniencing our residents as well as economic development, as well as can our staff do it? Do we have the police, fire, whatever available to make this work, to make the accommodations work? So all of those things are worked on in this as part of the regulations of this recommendation. Kathy Orr thought it was best to start this as an ordinance and not a municipal code, so that we can adjust and work through it. So that way, hey, we reflect on this a year later and see 2 or 3 things that need to change, and then we can make that adjustment. So municipal code we can adjust to, but it's a little bit longer of a process.
It's more expensive because of all the printing of all our code books,
So-
if nothing else.
So one of the things that I alerted the group who helped on this, that we were moving forward with this on this village board meeting, and on page 83 of your packet, under applications, is commercial productions, $300. I just want to add commercial productions, TV and feature as well on the same application fee. These might be broken off in a future year, but this is the lingo that's used in the field. And Quadri did recommend that we added that so we look like, we kind of knew what we were talking about when we were trying to report different places. So I think everyone who helped with it in the community, as well as Kathy, and I look for the board for comments and questions.
Thank you so much. And while we do love seeing a village featured in film, it is important to keep in mind that it can be an inconvenience to our residents. We have had some complaints, so navigating that and balancing that, also giving people proper notice they're all important things to do. But again, I love seeing Flossmoor. I'll start with comments from Brian Driscoll, Trustee Driscoll.
I think it's excellent that you had so many Flossmoor filmmakers participate in this. I can see a bunch of them out there. Well, Phil, how we doing? It's good to see. Did you, I guess, liaison with like Irma on this to see what their guidelines were on the other end of it, balance with both sides?
Yeah, so some of the, as far as limits and on the insurance side of it, yes. And I looked at different communities like Lincolnwood and other Irma communities and what they had structured. So coming from an Irma community before I was here helps inform that process.
I think it's a positive thing as long as you got everything covered. The residents covered, the insurance covered. I think it's a great opportunity for Flossmoor, so I'd be in favor of it.
Section 8 is the notification of neighbors and right to object. So there's a whole process in here that's built in so people can object. And at the end of the day, it is at the village manager's discretion. So if there is a need to say, hey, we don't have the resources or we don't have this to do this, we have to do what's best for the village in each one of these cases.
Thank you, Trustee Lofton.
I strongly support the regulatory opportunities.
village has a major opportunity in evolving itself and being a stage for the film industry. The towns that you mentioned, I think, have had some success in that. More importantly, as the Holmes team identified, it's a very good economic development opportunity. You'll get to see Flossmoor at its best in a number of different publications, not the least of which is the film trading publication. We can be well known through this process, and I really would like to see this happen.
Thank you, Trustee Mitros.
I think it's great, and you certainly have a distinguished committee helping you, so I'm all for it.
Thank you, Trustee Mustafa.
I echo that, I agree. The input from residents is exactly what I would like to see on other subjects, other disciplines, other opportunities in the village. I just have one question on the bottom of page 1 under cost of repair, where it talks about the producer agrees to inform the village of any damage to public, etc. So please tell me what happens if there's a failure to inform and damage is discovered after production ends and the area is cleared?
We have an insurance policy, and we're going to have to develop a policy to check things out before we release the policy, before we release the applicant from further responsibility. And so that's got to be a part of the process.
And that's part of, if you look at what's required to turn in on the back page, you have that certificate of insurance, a full harmless agreement, and those different things that are part that has to be turned in with that knowledge.
That's good. And then one really tiny thing.
Yeah.
On the bottom of page 2, when you read, the notice shall clearly state that the owner of the record, should you cross out the word the?
Yes. Okay.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Bradley Scott.
This sounds very exciting, and I do have a HOMES question in terms of the homes. In terms of the industry, filming and businesses and homes is a very lucrative opportunity. Does that give Flossmoor an opportunity to be listed on these websites where people can open up their homes to film? I know they can do that right now, but does it allow some kind of cooperation?
I'm not sure, so to answer that question. Right now, a lot of the filming that happens is private residences.
Right.
So that's permissible. And what's not listed here is, that next step should be working with our park district and those different things, because this is dealing with village property, right?
Public
Straight
property.
Public property.
So that any filming you allow in your home,
Very good. This sounds great. In terms of staff time, if we are having someone go out after usage, I'm going to assume that some of the compensation received is making the village whole in some capacity.
So it's personal cost would be on the film company to do, on the 5% surcharge based on the employee's rate. So that's stated as well. So yeah, no, there'd be compensation if village resources.
Sounds great. I'm for it.
Thank you, Trustee Daggett.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic idea, and I also appreciate the manner in which you went about it, because we have, pick a profession, and we have people at the top of that game in Flossmoor. So I really appreciate you guys connecting with Holmes' team, and others in the community that Phil was part of it as well. I think that is an excellent example of how to come up with good policy, so I appreciate that.
And this is definitely an area where we have, there's an area like a delta, there's something in between, right, where we know what's done in some municipalities who've done this, and it's not always best practice. So this is an area that we could definitely be explored if we had those experts.
Which is fantastic. I do have a couple questions. So when it comes to section 8 with the residents, so I can imagine that if someone wants an expedited permit, and we're trying to get that done between 5 and 13 days, that might create some issues in notifying. So what happens if someone's on vacation and it's being put
still 2 days, we have 2 days that the resident to get back to us for notification. So if you reasonably try to notify us, don't put that on their door, put them on those different areas, and no one has gotten back to you, it's could be viewed as the greater good to move forward with production. Kathy?
Yes, I mean, we can't be perfect all the time. And I would,
It's like always.
I would
gotta fix
hope,
that.
you know, which is why I suggested not be codified, because let's go through the experience of it. If we have that experience, maybe we have to do what Oak Park or Highlands Park does and extend the periods because of that potential problem. We won't know until we try, but it's a good one.
Another question would be, is right here. So let's say in the event someone wants to come in and film, they have to give us a kind of a complete, here's all of the actions that are going to be a part of this. Like, for instance, if someone wanted to come in and fly outside.
Yes, those type of things, action-based, and those things are the things that we're looking for from a script. We don't want script review of what narrative or what the topic is. Sure. But if there's any kind of action or those different things, yeah, we need to know about it. There's going to be an explosion, and if we can allow an explosion. Not that there's going to be an explosion. Like, stop using the word explosion.
So that's the but we have the right to refuse explosions.
Yes.
We see people on the way D9 up the house, we're in trouble.
Yes. So that's the things we're looking at before to talk about the script. And, you know, if there's going to be any kind of action, even if it's a small scene where there's a car moving or those types of things, we want pedestrians to be safe.
Right. Or even if it was, you know, training something with law enforcement, that would freak people out. Right.
Yes.
So that's something that
Or sounds.
Or sounds.
So, you know, as we move through this, sometimes there's different things for lighting, for, you know, there's accessory lighting or sound, or restrictions on those, or just at least notification. But as most of these film companies that are credible to work with, will know that that's, you know, part of the process. Like, we have to hold them to that process. So that's, yes, thank you.
I think that's all I have. I really do like that it, like you said, it's can be a living document, that we can change it as we need to. If something comes up and we go, bring this back to the board, we can make some changes. And really let it stew a little bit to find out, is this working well? Are these timelines, are the dollar amounts right? And then I guess the only other thing I have, I know this is kind of the framework to it, and you guys have a lot of work to do after this is passed to kind of put the how to all of these items. Once we vote on this, how long do you think before it's up and running?
Well, I think most of this is, you know, most filming that are going to take place in the village, really takes place in the village, not high action transformer type of things, right? So most of this stuff can be implemented right away. So this is just notice, descriptions, things to put on the website, forms, those things can, you know, as far as the next steps.
Your application is ready, we've got it performed, ready to go.
The difference is, like, if we're putting out in trade organizations, and so those are things that we'll have to talk about for next steps for communication. But as far as getting this live and moving it forward on our website, as far as the application, May 1st.
Okay, great. I'm totally in favor of this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And Clerk Ogawa reminded me that to accommodate commercial TV and feature was not on the original board packets. We need to remotion, and then vote on that. So can I get a motion to approve the ordinance establishing regulations for film on public property in Flossmoor with the addition under the third bullet point of section 1, commercial TV and feature productions instead of commercial productions? Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. Clerk Ogawa, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. I'm going to, and thank you to everybody who came out to speak on this item tonight too. Appreciate it. I'm I'm going to call for other business before we go into executive session. After executive session, we will need to vote on the approval of executive session minutes. So first, other business, Trustee Lofton.
I just want to say thank you to part of trustees for personally the education that I was very quickly able to give you. I value that sincerely and look forward to working with you again in the not too distant future.
Thank you. Trustee Makers.
I second what George said. It's been my honor serving with you guys, and we'll see you around the village, right?
Thank you. Trustee Gustavo.
Thank you again to Trustee Bradley Scott and Trustee Driscoll. I have no other comments.
Thank you. Trustee Bradley Scott.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for my time here. Being on the village board for the past 8 years has been a fantastic experience. My children were 6 and 9 when I got started here, and it was very important to me to have the young children perspective for our community. Now that they are, at least one of them is driving about and graduating high school next year, it has been an evolution. But I really enjoyed working with my fellow colleagues on the board and talking with all of the residents in the community. You all are the reason that we sit here, and I expect to continue to have excellent and wonderful conversations with all of you, from the commission to the staff in the back of the room who have done a fantastic job leading departments, who have done a fantastic job working in various departments and having fantastic ideas that have moved the village along. You all are, I know, going to continue to do excellent work, and I get an opportunity to sit by as a resident for my time and enjoy what your work has done here. So thank you all, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Trustee Daggett.
Yeah, so I've got an opportunity to sit between these two for the last 4 years, which has been very good. And I just did want to take a minute to express kind of individually to each of them. So, Joni, I appreciate that even though we don't always agree on things, you've always made yourself available to have conversations and be honest and forthright about what your thoughts and feelings are, and when you disagree with me. And I think that's been pivotal in making sure that from me in my interactions with you, that there's been integrity between how we live together. I appreciate your honesty with me, and I appreciate the way you approach me when we've had disagreements or when we agree. So I really appreciate the time. Thank you for serving. I came on the board and you've been here for 2 years, and just kind of trying to figure out how you can do this, and having the two of you here was very helpful. So thank you so much. Ryan, I wasn't sure about you. But here's the thing I'll say about Brian. Sitting here, you weren't sure about who you were. I don't blame him. The thing that I respect about Brian is that sitting here next to him, I got an opportunity to hear the things that he says under his breath. And not once was I like, it was always respectful, but I also had numerous opportunities to see where he was listening. Even when people didn't think he was listening, considering what people had to say, and I saw it by what he said. Numerous times it was, thought about it, and then he would write some notes down. So I appreciate the service. Your law background has been very beneficial for me when I've had questions of you on that, and to see that you took this seriously and you put your heart behind it, and your no-nonsense, common sense approach was fantastic. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Trustee Driscoll.
No questions or comments?
Clerk Liddell.
Okay. I also wanted to thank Trustee Bradley Scott and Trustee Driscoll for their service and echo everything that everyone has said. And then personally, I just wanted to thank Trustee Bradley Scott for encouraging me to speak up when I first came on the board. So I appreciate that. And then also trustee Driscoll for inviting me onto the Flossmoor Veterans Memorial group. He recruited me, and it's been a wonderful experience. I'm glad we get to work on that project together. So thank you both.
Village Attorney?
Yes, I too want to tell trustee Bradley Scott and trustee Driscoll, I will miss you. I really will. You both have incredible input at various times during my tenure. So I really wish you well, but I also want you to know you've done a heck of a job these past years.
Thank you. Village Manager?
Thank you. I feel like I'm pulling up the caboose here, but I'll add to the thank yous on behalf of all of the staff. It has been a pleasure to work with both of you over the years, to get to know you, to receive your input, to work together alongside you. Thank you so much. And as a resident, thank you so much for the service that you have given to the community. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much. Let's see, I have a few things. Flossmoor Baseball, the Softball Association Parade is this Saturday morning. I think it steps off at 9:30 at Parker Junior High. Check the website. But more importantly, come cheer on the kiddos. Line Flossmoor Road from Parker all the way over to Brassy, and cheer them on for their season ahead. They really get a kick out of the support along the way. We had a new business open up about a week ago, Eclectic Artistry. There are some fabulous one-of-a-kind items in her shop, and she is located in Flossmoor Commons. The Viaduct Open House, we are working on scheduling that date tentatively. It is May 8th, but if you are interested in learning more, please make sure. Never mind, Johnson's name. Okay, Director Brunke, we will be posting that on our website and also coordinating with the Heatherville Civic Association and other community groups to get the word out. And also, any of you could be on the lookout for that date and share with your neighbors, that would be great. The Hidden Gem Half Marathon sold out in a week, which is incredible. Last year, I think they sold out by about June. This year, much faster. So we are excited to welcome them. Stay tuned for volunteer opportunities, and thanks to everybody who has played a role in the success of that event. Also, we just won our 47th annual GFOA award, so congratulations to the finance department. That's great news, so thank you for all your hard work. And next, last but not least, the Governor's Office and also the U.S. Small Business Association will both be sending representatives to walk with me through downtown Flossmoor and meet some of our small business owners. On the list of things that I want to do is highlight them and their efforts, but also look for ways that they can be further supported, whether it's through grants or educational opportunities. I think that's incredibly important to make sure that our downtown continues to be vibrant and thrive. Also, we just have a lot of great business owners who do a lot of good things for the village, so it's really important to support them. So looking forward to those visits in the next week. And again, I said it earlier, but again, thank you to Trustee Driscoll and Trustee Bradley Scott for all of your service, for finding a way to make everything work with all of your busy schedules and lives and doing it with grace. So thank you so much for your time and helping us out. Appreciate it. Next, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss executive session minutes and litigation.
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. Clerk McDowell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out. You're welcome to stay. Grab some cookies for the road if you can't stay. Those are from Beast Cookies. So enjoy. Those are real deal. Cookies for Into open session. Clerk McDowell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott. President. Trustee Daggett. Here. Trustee Driscoll.
Here.
Lofton.
Here.
Trustee Mitros. Trustee Mustafa. Mayor Nelson.
Present, thank you so much, we have a quorum. Can I get a motion to approve the executive session meeting minutes and also release the meeting minutes dated September 3rd, 2024 and October 15th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you so much. Clerk O'Donnell, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bradley Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Daggett.
Yes.
Trustee Driscoll.
Yes.
Trustee Lofton.
Yes.
Trustee Mitros.
Yes.
Trustee Mustafa.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.